Welcome back. I'm Tom Hewitt, and this is News 13's Eye on the Election. I'm sitting here with Janice Golub, who's running for House District 1 as the Democratic candidate there. And Janice, this is your first time, as I understand it, running for state office, and people may not everybody may know you. So maybe what's your background and what made you decide to get into state politics?
Sure. Hi, Tom. Thanks. I've been a resident here for 10 years now. I live in North Pole. I'm originally from New York, and I'm a military person, actually. I'm in the Alaska National Guard, and I'm a major. I just got promoted. And the thing that brought me into this race was two things, actually. It's our heating costs, because we're being crushed in the interior right now by our heating costs, and Eielson Air Force Base. Being a military person, my district lies between Eielson Air Force Base and Fort Wainwright. So it's filled with military folks, families, you have active duty people, you have contractors, and it seems like every day we hear in the news something about Eielson. We don't know if it's going to stay, if it's going to go, are they going to move, and what's going to happen. So basically I want to keep the jobs here, keep our troops here. We need Eielson here. If something happened in Korea tomorrow, for instance, strategically we are so well placed, we really need to have that base here. And people might say, DOD will have the ultimate say, and we need to, handle that at a congressional level. But I think it's very important on a local level and a state level to continue to fight for it, because we got to show that we have the interest here and we want to keep folks here.
Governor Sean Parnell called for a sizable cut to the state's excise tax on oil, and the intent is to spur production, but it would also make a pretty sizable dent in state revenues. And that died in the legislature this last legislative session, but it's certain to come up again in this coming one. Where do you stand on that, on oil taxes and the governor's proposal?
Yes, you're absolutely correct. It will come up again in the legislature. I can guarantee it. I absolutely am against the oil tax giveaway. We're looking at $2 billion a year for a period of about 10 years. So we're looking at over $20 billion. We're talking about the richest corporations in the world. They do not need a bailout. The folks that need help are the residents of the interior who are paying these prices. I want to help them. So I am totally opposed to the governor's bailout.
Your opponent, Doug Isaacson, has championed the cause of royalty oil, trying to take the share of oil that is, I guess, royalty oil of the states, and I guess incentivize producers or make producers sell it to Alaskans at a lower rate than they sell their other oil on the open market. And that has gotten some interest by legislators. State officials say it would be problematic, both legally and just kind of in terms of getting it done. Where do you stand on royalty oil? Do you think that it's doable, or do you think that it's, I guess, kind of not very realistic?
Royalty oil is not a silver bullet, and it sounds good in theory, but let's face it, if it was that simple, someone else would have done it by now. It's not a new idea. It's been talked about on talk radio here in the interior for several years now even. Basically what it would do is increase some jobs maybe at Flint Hills, but it's not going to lower your heating oil cost. Most of our oil is purchased down at the Petrostar refinery. It's about 80% of our heating oil actually comes from them, and they do not even purchase royalty oil. They already said that they have no intention of purchasing royalty oil, so that's not going to help us up here. It won't lower our costs at all.
You mentioned Eielson Air Force Base earlier. There's a one-year moratorium now on any move of the F-16 Aggressor Squadron, but obviously that year is going to run its course. Do you think that there's more that the state could be doing to, I guess, induce the Air Force or push for those jets to remain here?
Well, you're exactly right. 1 year is going to pass very quickly, and especially when the military is moving, things kind of go slowly, though. But so we have to wait on different answers. But absolutely, what we're looking at is keeping Eielson over here, and we want to find good reasons for them to do that. They may not have examined all the costs down in Anchorage. Look at the problems that Anchorage does have. They've restricted airspace. We don't have that issue up here. In fact, everywhere in the lower 48, they have problems with airspace. Up here in the interior, we don't have that, so it's perfect for training. So that's something that the Air Force really would want to keep. And I think we just need to point that out to them a little bit more. Anchorage also has problems with weather. They've been having windstorms every week. Their highest snowfall ever was last winter, for instance. You have earthquakes, you have a volcano that's nearby, and all this can cause major problems for air traffic. So that's something that we have to keep in mind too. As local folks, we know that those are issues that always come up. They might not be aware of back in Washington.
Last year, Governor Parnell made a point of keeping the per student allocation for education funding the same as it had been in the previous year, and that his argument there was that funding increases should be made based on a guarantee of better performance or proof that, I guess, progress was being made. And that I guess raised some tempers in the legislature because people wanted to see more investment in education since we have budget surpluses. What's your position on education funding and the governor's rationale for doing what he did?
I would definitely support education funding. I also support full funding and forward funding of education. As far as increasing the base student allowance, the VSA that you mentioned, I definitely would raise that too. One thing that the schools are having a hardship right now is fuel cost. A lot of their budget goes into, just operating the place and keeping it warm. So we have to put something down additionally for them that will not cut into education money to help cover those fuel costs. And what I'd like to see for them is a fuel supplement.
All right. Well, I think that's actually about all the time we have, but thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you, Tom.
And for the rest of you who don't go away just yet, we've got Jamie Schwartzwald coming up next with sports.